Okay, we're up to the Mishnah on Lamed Dalid Amid Beis, the Mishnah about Esrik. So far we discussed a lulav agazel, we discussed hadas agazel, and a rava agazel. Now we discuss Esrik. We saw the Rashi that said you couldn't. Why don't you put them all together? Because each one taught us unique halacha, right? Each one taught us unique halacha. That's only unique by them. Esrik agazel is vayavish pasal. Again, Esrik's pasal. The first day it's pasal al svad al lakachtem lachem. It's not lachem. The second day al mitzvah b'avera. Yavesh is it didn't hadar, creates hadar. That's the one thing you know for creates hadar, you need hidar. Shal asher v'shel nidachas, the avesher v'shel nidachas is puzzle. Pashtas because k'tute michtas shiurei, you don't have the share. Since it's amar the sreifa, you don't have the share. I'll speak at something very interesting, Girsa. I learned to my son Yehonasan today, something fascinating. Shel Arla is puzzle. Arla, guys, the first 3 years of a fruit-bearing tree. The fruit-bearing tree is what is puzzle, not because it's a surah, no, because mitzvahs lav lehenes nitnu, and the Gemara will explain the reason why it's not permitted. Shal truma tameya is puzzle. You need something that's roy lachila, guys, and therefore since that roy lachila, you can't. Shal truma tahira lo yitel, you shouldn't take it. V'mnatel kasha. The Gemara again, it's right for kain. And if you Yisrael, Rashi says you can have a grandson who's a kohen if your daughter married a kohen. Shel demai, but demai is again suffix. You buy tefua from Ramaretz. It's a suffix whether they shade up the maestris. So Beishamai Paislan that you can't use the esrog of demai. Beis Hillel Machshirin, Beis Hillel does permit you to use the esrog of demai. Shamai Shesheni b'Yushalayim lo yitel v'mnatel kasha. We know the first, second, fourth, fifth year of a Shemitah cycle, you bring your first fruits to Yerushalayim, and you have to use them there. You should not use Maisa Sheni for what? For an esrog Maisa Sheni. But if you do, right? If you do, it'll be okay. Why? Because you could eat it. But outside Yerushalayim, since it's not lachem, it's not right for you, you wouldn't be able to use that. On Dafka Maisa Sheni in Yerushalayim, guys. Dafka Maisa Sheni in Yerushalayim.
What would be the problem using Yerushalayim?
We'll see. Also, chazis al roiv al rubai. You have these scabs, like little blotches of blemishes. There's pictures in the book if you want. Also, chazis al rubai, the majority of it, or not la pit masai, or you took its pitim, exact right. Then it's puzzle, right? Let's see. Want to see some pictures? We can look at pictures. Baruch Kol, what's the page?
Well, start off at 119.
Page 119. So that's all the chazis al rubai. Harry, you put your book down? You have these blotches over here. Okay. Then it's a good thing you bought the safe. What do you bring the shul?
It looks nice on my table.
Okay, not lipin masai.
It's a different one. Huh?
Okay, you have different sheetas in what the pitim is taken off the pitim is. You have 4 different sheetas over here. What the pitim is. Okay, but you get the idea. Okay. Niklaf if it's peeled, nistak if it's a crack in it, nika v'chaser. It has a hole in it, but chaser. Not you put a needle in it, it's not a problem. It's only if you take out a piece of it. V'nika kolshu is puzzle. Also, however, also chazes al mi'utoi. If these blotches come on a minority of the esrog, not the loitzai, or not the pitim, not the top of the esrog, but the bottom that was attached to the tree, the oikets where it grew from. Nike v'loy chaser as a whole, it's not missing kolshu kasha. So the opposite, the inverse of the previous cases. Esrog akushi, and esrog that's from Ethiopia. It's a black esrog, right? It's okay. Page 124. I thought they weren't going to put it in. They were nervous.
Black ass doesn't matter.
Okay, 124. So esrog akuti is kushi is puzzle. Bayora kikarsi, if it's green, like leek, it may a machshir of Yehuda Paisel. It's not hadar. Okay, shear esrig hakatin. What's the minimal share of an esrig? Is the size of a nut, a walnut. Of Yehuda kibetza like an egg, like an egg. That's the share going downwards. Right. Ubegoidel, and what's the shear going upwards? You can hold two in one hand. You can go ahead and hold two in one hand. And what, according to Rabbi Yossi says, I feel the opposite. I feel even one and two hands. Like, guys, this is the middle of shear according to Rabbi Yehuda. Rabbi Yossi says even one and two hands. That's a good sunfet. What? Don't. Who states you have to hold both together? Okay, that's the shear. Now, there's a very interesting. Okay, we'll get to it. In other words, we know the shear, guys. The shear of a hadassim is 3 tfachim. The shear of lulav is 4 tfachim. What kind of shear is an egg or a pizza? And you give me a minimum and a maximum. So there's a daya. My son spoke out very nicely that there is no shear to an esrog. This shear is, before it gets to the shear, it's not an esrog. It's not a gemash. In other words, it's not shot that there's a shear to an esrog, but the esrog is not finished until it gets to a certain point in time. Until that point in time, it's not considered an esrog. So therefore, if that's the case, then the shel shear v'shel nidachas katute michta shiur will be a problem because there is no shear. Ketute michta shiur is there's a shear and you don't have the shear because it's obliterated. But if there's no shear, so again the lashon is ketute michta shiur. It doesn't mean it's not there. It means the shear is not there. The shear is not there. So we'll see Bez Hashem. I'll show you Shitas Arach and Tosfos Bez Hashem. Okay. Anyway, let's get. We're going to today's easy. Just to define again. Pre-Eitz Hadar. How do you know in the world it's an esrog, right? So good as the Rambam says Allah Kamash V'Sinai. Where's the pasuk say there what's an esrog, right? Tanabanan. Pre-Eitz Hadar, right? Eitz when it says pre-Eitz Hadar, Eitz Shetam Eitz Lo Yupir of Shafam. It's the tree that its eitz, its bark, upir and its fruit are equal. Havi Omer, I would say, is an esrog. That is an esrog. And that's the tree that they're both equal. Let's say it's peppercorns, Kidatanya. It says by Orlu, Kal Eitz, and there Shu Eitz Michael, Matamalem Eitz Michael. Right, when it says you plant, why do you have to tell me you can't? Obviously, it's a fruit bearing tree where it says Eitz Michael. Eitz. So why does it say Eitz Michael for? So Eitz Shetam Eitzoi Upir Shavin. That the peppercorn is what is Eitz Haviyam is Elpel Pelin. That peppers, even though you might think they're besamim, they have a din of a pre vis-a-vis arla. You can't use them in the first 2 years. In Eretz Yisrael, even the besamim it grows in Eretz Yisrael. Shnemar like sechsa kolba. Nothing's missing. So guys, how do you know it's an esrog? Maybe it's a pepper. And for the Gemara, how are you going to use a pepper for an esrog for one of the 4 minim? Take one pepper. It's so small, you're not going to go ahead and recognize it's the kicha, right? Ninkai treo tlas, right? It says pre-eitz hadar mashmali one amarachmana v'leishnayim v'shalish. Right? Paris silkach leyefshe. Therefore, it's not possible. So the first way we know that it's the esrog, guys, is pre-eitz hadar. It's pre-eitz that you can taste in the pre in the eitz, guys. You can taste the pre in the eitz. Right? You can taste the pre in the eitz. Rabbi says al tikrei hadar el hadir. There is the lashon of a corral, guys. And what? Ma deer sheish b'gedalim ukatanim t'mimim bali mumim. Just like this deer, this corral has big animals, small animals, t'mimim, pure animals, and bali mumim, animals with a blemish. Hachnami yesh b'gedalim the fruit that has gedalim ukatanim t'mimim bali mumim. Furthermore, to shap heres less b'gedalim ukatanim t'mimim bali mumim. What is the uniqueness? Why this doesn't be so unique about an esrog? Al-hachi kamar at sheboim ketanim adayim gedalim chayamin. When you have small ones growing in the tree, you still have what? You still have old ones on the tree. Guys, the esrog stays from year to year. The esrog stays from year to year. So it's possible to have a 1-year-old esrog and a 2-year-old esrog at the same time. So a deer means gedolim katana means the tree that you have gedolim katanim bivas achas, because you're not going to harvest them at the same time. So we have 2 limudim now: pre-eitz hadar or deer, like similar to gedolim katanim. Rabbi Voam, a third pshat, al tikrei hadar ella davar shedar beilane mishan l'shana, something that stays on the tree from year to year. Basically, I think it's the same pshat just in a different way. In different, it's no difference. It's just the mashmois of the pasuk how you're dashing it, but whether it stays on the year to year or it's gedol or deer. Yeah, apparently not. Benazir Yomal Tikri Hadar El Hadar Shekaim Beloshin Yevoni Karim Lamayim. We call water is Hador Idor. Basically, he should go. I call Mayim. Havi Oim is Esther. Esther needs, guys. It needs irrigation as well as rain. So therefore, we have basically three pshatim. We have one, the Prius Hadar. Two, it's Gedol B'Tanim. Three, that's the lashon of Dar, that it's like from year to year. And a fourth pshat that what appears to Gamayim. But the bottom line is, it's what it's no. The many fruit, no. A stable does not need irrigation, just rain. The Gemara is telling you that it needs it. It's a mashma, it's not the mashma. No, do you know anything about farming?
It does overall sometimes.
Yeah, I'm saying, you assume that you know something about farming. I don't confuse myself. I don't know anything about farming. Okay, I'll tell you something. Yeah.
So if in theory, if you found a fruit today that had all these requirements, you say that could be you can be considered like you can call it like an esrog. I'm just saying.
Well, they say that the lemon, I saw brought down that the lemon, there was people, even though it was a murkiv, they would on a lemon with a esrog, they would make a bracha on it because lemon has very similar qualities to the esrog. No, that is, but it hastes it could be, again, we have a Messiah from Moshe Rabbeinu, the esrog is the one, right? So I don't know, but again, it's mashma from the Gemara. This is the way you're going to learn it. This is the only possibility. That you won't find any other fruit like that, because it gave you an example of a fruit like that, peppers, right? And we did away with that. So you can do, the problem is you won't find anything like that. But I'll tell you something really unique about the hiddur of an esrog, guys. A nice drush. The Kadosh Baruch Hu on the third day of creation, he says that the earth should give out an eighth priosa pri. It should give out an eighth priosa pri. He wanted that you should be able to taste the fruit in the eighths. And then it says, it's eighth isa pri. It should give out an eighth isa pri. An eighth, like we have eighths, a bark that gives out fruit. He wanted an eighth pri isa pri. Eighth pri, 2 words, isa pri. It came out as eighths isa pri. And Rashi brings that the modern thing that they didn't listen. The trees didn't listen, and they were punished as a result by Ad Marishan. They were punished. It's a very strange. Who was the trees not listening? Malachim. Okay. Anyway, l'chal pachas. The only fruit that is the machshava of Rebbeinu Shloim is the esrog. The esrog is eitz pri yisa pri. It's what Hashem wanted. It's machshava rishon shel Kadosh Baruch Hu, right? So. Rabbi Rosenzweig, listen to this. You can tell your Talmidim this. Can you imagine every single malach of every single tree is saying, "Listen, we're going to make eight pri." Every single one, and one says, "You know what? I'm not going to listen. I'm going to do what Hashem wants." Think about it. The only tree that didn't give in to peer pressure, excuse the pun, was what? Was the esrog tree, the esrog tree, and as a result, it's that esrog by not giving in. That is the only fruit that you can go ahead and mekayimat arba minim from. It's a good tremendous limit. Don't give in to peer pressure. PEAR pressure. Okay. Yeah, it's very interesting. Yeah, huh? That's me. Yeah, that's me. Sorry. Shalasheva shalini dachas is pasal my timer. Kivin l'sreifa koi kitute michta shiure. Since it goes to sreifa, it doesn't have the shear. Okay, so now, guys, look at Rabbeinu Chananel. Look at Rabbeinu Chananel on the side. Shalashera, you have it? You have Rabbeinu Chananel on the side? Yes? Shalashera v'shalini dachas pasal mishum dahavile mitzvah ba'bafera. In other words, kutute michta shiure doesn't work. By esrog. There's a girsa over here that it doesn't work. Take a look go back to Lamed, guys. Lamed Amid Aleph. You see the first Taisvis, Lamed Amid Aleph, very famous Taisvis. We did part of it. Look where it says in the middle of the Taisus, it says, "Umiyo yesh svarim the gasin l'kaman daf lamed hey." You see it? You see that parentheses? Umiyo yesh svarim the gasin l'kaman amasnisan the esrik shal asher my timer shouldn't have a mitzvah b'avera. In other words, he had the girsa of the rach, not our girsa, right? That it's mitzvah b'avera. The girsa mishubesis. He says Taisus, no, that's a corrupt girsa. The time mishum the michta shiurei, right? It's the reason called michta shiurei. But the rach did have such a girsa. Now, what's the possibility why such a girsa would exist, guys? So it's beautiful. If it doesn't have a shear, it's not like a lulav that the shear is 4 tefachim keilaneya. It's not like a das where it's 3 tefachim. It's at the minimal size should be an esrig and a nut or a beitza or holding in 2 hands. Not because that's the shear, because until that point it's not gemar pira. It's not considered an esrig. It's not a finished pera. And past that big point, it's gemar pera, but it's not hadar anymore. That's a different thing. But it's not a din shear. It's not an esrig. Mainly had to come up with a different reason, and that reason is mitzvah b'avera. So a beautiful explanation why this would be different, right? A shear shall need dachas by esrig rather than by lulavad and hadasim.
Later, if you say that it's not a peri until it gets to a certain size, and that's what makes it into an esrig, why would there be one that gets to a certain limit? From that point on,
if you listen, I said that's hadar. If that's the chasarn of hadar when it gets beyond a certain point, creates hadar. In other words, it's an esrig, but it's not hadar.
Okay.
I said that. You should have been medayik in my words.
I'm sorry.
Benji wants to know what the Nationals did today. Okay, maybe you can mute yourself now. Says the Gemara Vaita. Shel Arla Puzzle. Arla is puzzle. My timer. Pligi ba Rav Chia Barav and Rav Asi. Chadam lefi she'ein ba heter achila, because you can't eat it. The chadam lefi she'ein ba din mammon, because it doesn't have a din of mammon. Let's see Rashi, guys. Ein ba heter ksalkadait. No. Lefi she'ein ba heter achila. Rachmana Amar lochem haruuy lochem b'chol darke l'hanasai. V'lokachtem lochem. You should take for you any which way, and since I can't eat it, the arla is also for the first 3 years. It's not lachem; it's a chesaron in lachem. I'll say surei hano. Why would we say mitzvah? Guys, big call. Guys, surei hano. Arla is also hano. But what? Mitzvah lav lahenis nitnu. That wouldn't be enough of a reason. Avodah zarah, it's not enough of a reason. Asher, we had to come to Ketutei Michta Shura. Mitzvah baba avera is not enough because why? Because the mitzvahs lav lehenisness with the gezeres hamelech. Guys, always remember that. So Memela says the Gemara, what's the chesaron of that you can't eat it? The chesaron is v'lakachtem lachem. Does this kind of lachem? It's lacking lachem. That's the first shot. Rashi says lachem. It's the biggest site. Lachem aroy lachem b'chol darkeina. And the second Rashi, she'ein ba din mamin, she'ein shava pruta. The Yisur einahu. Hilkach lav shalachemhu. Again, it's not worth a shava pruta. So if it's not worth a shava pruta, then it's not yours. So again, it's vaita of chesron lachem. So is it because you can't eat it, or because what you can't what? It's not mummy. Back in the Gemara. So we have Chia Barav and Ravasi chadam l'fishein b'heta achila, chadam l'fishein b'hen din mummy. Now kasal kedaitach man de boy heta achila loy boy din mummy. The one who what says you have to be able to eat it doesn't have to be money. In other words, they're arguing across the board. Fred Gemara Kasha Tanami in the Mishnah, Shel Truma Tameya is puzzle. Our Mishnah said if you have a esrig of Truma Tameya is puzzle. Now, guys, can you eat it?
No.
Can you have enough from it?
No.
What can you do with it?
No.
Burn it underneath the pot. Good, you can use it. Now, Bishnei Man of Shein B'Heter Achila Shapir. We can understand why it's puzzle. Truma Tameya, you can't eat it. Why is it puzzle? You can use it what is a fuel source under your pot. Ella, what do you have to say? Everyone says, in other words, the minimal share of lachem, you got to be able to eat it. And if I can't eat it, and since I can't eat truma tameya, it's puzzle. It's puzzle. Even the Mandiomu says that it needs a din mamin, says it's puzzle. He says in addition, ki pligi b'din mamin. Masava heter achila beinin did mom and loy beinin. You only need enough heter achila to make it your lochem. You don't need mom to make it lochem. Heter achila is enough to make it lochem. Umasava did mom and nami beinin. You need to make it lochem. Not only do you have to be able to eat it, you also have to go ahead and have a din mom. That's worth the shavar pruta. My binai, what would the nafkamina be? Ik binayu ma'isa sheni b'Yushalayim. Guys, ma'isa sheni Yerushalayim. Now, guys, we have machloikis in Shas throughout Shas. Is Maisa Sheni yours, or does it belong to Hashem? And He gives you lets you use it. Meaning, it's Maisa, it's Kaddish, you can eat it, but you can't do what you want with it. You won't be able to Makadosh Nisha with it. It's not your money. So very good shmak. Now let's fair us. Aliba the Reb Meir Lamandiyama. So Yerushalayim leader of Meir, guys, it's not money. Could you eat it? Yes. So therefore, you could use an esrog of Ma'aser Sheni in Yerushalayim. Why? Because it has a heter achila. But the mamin Ma'aser Sheni, according to Reb Meir, mamin gavayahu. It's mamin gavaya. It's not yours. You won't be able, therefore, to use an esrog. And our Mishnah says that you could use it. Is the Rabbanon, not Reb Meir. Good. To Stein, I'll bring you a raya. We said it's Maro Machod, Maro Machod. Ravasi said one thing, and Ravami said the other thing. To Stein, Ravasi dam l'fishem badin mammon. I'll show you it's Ravasi who says that what besides achila also has to have a din mammon. Dam Ravasi esrog shal ma'aser sheni the Reb Meir ein adam yotze b'yidei chavasa b'yamtiv. The Reb Chachamim adam yotze b'yidei chavasa b'yamtiv. To Stein, it's a good raya. Okay, so let's go over the Mishnah, guys. Esrog agazel, an esrog that's stolen, you can't go ahead and use it. Why? L'kachtem lachem. V'hayavesh pasol piece other. Shel asher v'shel nidachas pashit. The Gemara argues is ketute michta shiura. A little lomdis. The Rach says what? It's a baba aveira because he holds what? An esrig doesn't have a shear. So it's a nice to hear. Shel arla pasol. Arla's pasol. Why machloikis? Either because what? Everyone holds you need a heter achila. So therefore be pasol. That's not a problem. There's no machloikis there. Next. Shal truma tameya, same thing. Heter achila, same thing. You can't eat it. Pasal. Shal truma tameya. No. Shal truma tahayre lo yitel v'natal kasha. Don't take it. It's not totally lochem. You have to give the kohen. But if you do, since there's heter achila, you're okay. Shal demai, we didn't discuss yet. Okay. And Ma'aser Sheni Yerushalayim, according to Rabbi Meir, no. And our Mishnah says, yes, the Chachamim. Why? Because not only is it a heter achila in Yerushalayim, but in addition, it's your money. You can be mekadosh nisha with it. It's your money. Very good. Says the Gemara Vayt. Kufa. We learned previously. Amar Ravasi, Esrog shel Ma'aser Sheni, Esrog of Ma'aser Sheni, the Divrei Reb Meir, Ein Adam Yotzei B'Yichavasai. A person not Yotzei is Chiyuv. Why? It's not your money. B'Yantav. The Divrei Chacham Adam Yotzei B'Yichavasai B'Yantav. Now, matzah shel Ma'aser Sheni. What about matzah, guys? The Divrei Meir ein adam yotzei v'lechavasei b'Pesach. The Divrei Chachamim adam yotzei v'lechavasei b'Pesach. So all of a sudden, matzah has to be what? Lochem? Does it say matzah schem? Guys, you had kasha. You're zustelling what? Matzah to lulav to esrog. Come on. So the Gemara is going to ask that. Isa shel Ma'aser Sheni. Okay. Challah, guys. Challah says varisay seichem. Your dough, so it has to be yours. Now, so challah, Isa of Ma'aser Sheni. What's the din? Reb Meir p'tur min challah. Guys, why? It's not yours. Okay, so three dinim: esrig, challah, esrig, matzah, challah. Masculine papa. Bishlema Isa, very good Isa. Machloikis ksiv reishis arisach seichem, the first of your dough. And therefore, like Rabbi Ma'aser Sheni Yerushalayim is not yours. Esrig nami ksiv lochem mishalachem. Therefore, Esrig Ma'aser Sheni Yerushalayim no. Ela matzah mi ksiv matzaschem. Does it say your matzah? Amar Rabba Shmuel the itema Rav Yemer Bashalmei as loch lechem. Ksiv hacha lechem oini. It says by matzah lechem oini. Ksiv hasam. It says by challah v'hoya ba'achlchem milechem haaretz. Mal halam by challah, since it says arisa seichem mishalachem v'lei mishal ma'aser afkan, so too by matzah mishalachem v'lei mishal ma'aser. Good, so very good. Lema Messiah, I'll bring you a raya to this whole machlokes. Isa shel Ma'aser Sheni petur min achala divrei Meir v'chacham moim mechayeves b'chala. Fred the Gemara Lema Messiah he. Guys, you're not bringing a raya, you're restating. A raya means I'm bringing you something that's similar that you'll learn a raya from, right? You're not relearning a raya. You are what? You are basically just repeating. Ella, no, don't compare it to, we're not learning out just stam azoi chala. We want to chala to matzah and esrog. Elamid the baha pligi, when they argue by chala, when that's what it's stating. When Rabbi Meir and the Chacham argue by chala, pligi bahanami, they argue by matzah and by esrog pligi. Why? Because of matzah, it's compared to chala, and esrog it says lachem. Ken zayin, the whole machloikis between Reb Meir and the Chachamim is by chala. Since it says Arisa Sechem second time, why does it have to repeat it? To be mamayed and limit it to what? To where? To chala. But in a chinami by matzah and esrog, maybe Reb Meir agrees. So you have no raya. You have no raya. So very good. Okay. So Truma Tamei is Pesula. The less way had to achila. It's no different than arla. There's no heter. No one can eat it. The Truma Tahara lo yitel. Now why not? So pligi Ravim Ravasi. Chanam ifnei shemachshira. One says because you're machshir it. The chad amam ifnei shemafsida. And one says because you're mafsid it. Guys, what does machshira mean? This is an important Rashi. It says Rashi machshira lekabel tuma. You're machshir it to mekabel tuma. Damina b'masnisan. Mekabelis isha miyad bino umiyad baila umachzeres lamayim b'Shabbos. A woman would go ahead. She would take the lulav and put it in water from a child and put it back in the water on Shabbos. So now it's wet. Kadesh levaishu in order to dry out. Ukeshenoigim be'esrig, and when the water touches the esrig, huchshel tuma. It's now muchshel kabel tuma. Now it's asa to go ahead and make something that's truma muchshel kabel tuma. So therefore, don't go ahead and use it. Don't use a kosher truma esrig because you don't want to go ahead and make it. You want to watch it that it doesn't become tamei. So the first step to becoming tamei wad is hachshara. So avoid it. Don't use it. If you use it, okay, fine. There's no innate. There's no isser, but stay away from it. That's the hachshara. A second is because you're mafsida. Klipasa chitzayna. You rub off the outside. When you touch it, you're rubbing off the peel. For us to have truma kedvish. It's us to go ahead and be mafsid truma. Okay, so machlokes. Mishnah says don't use truma tahira as your esrig. Two reasons: either because you're going to prepare to mekabel tuma by getting it wet, or because why? Because of the you mafsid it by rubbing it out. I think I'm going to get back to this. So therefore, there's no reason not to. My time, what's the reason you can't use the mai? Since the person can go ahead, we've had this many times, a person can go ahead and be mafkes nechasim, and it's an ani v'chazile, and now it's an ani, he's able to use the mai. Hashtanami here as well by esrig lachem karinam bay. It's called lachem. Again, since the mai, I can't use it, right? Why can I use it? Because I have to separate. Right? That's only gezer d'rabanan. Right? The makam, since I can go ahead and take it off, I can become roy. It's considered roy lachila, and therefore you're okay. Ubeshami ani lo yochel. Beshami holds one, and ani doesn't yochel. Hashanami lachem krin beit. Titnan machinus aniyim demai. You can feed aniyim demai. Vesachsanya demai. Achsanya are the king's army that comes to the town, and you will take care of the army. Ubeshami says ani lo yochel. Ani should not eat it. Demai. Titnan machinus aniyim demai. Vesachsanya demai. But Rafuna tana beshami yoimim ein machinus aniyim. Vesachsanya demai. So okay, so therefore the mai you shouldn't. The mai is okay. Why? Because according to Beis Hillel, we paskin like you're right to be nani. Therefore, we said a person can be yotz is matzah with the mai, right? You can go ahead and become an ani. Again, we had this quite a few times. Shamai Sheni Yerushalayim. You should not do it. Why? Sheni Yerushalayim. Why shouldn't you do it? What the same reason as by Truma Tahira. Lamandam Fnei Machshira, Hare Machshira. Lamandam Fnei Mafsida, Hare Mafsida. Everyone says even Reb Meir says you can eat it. Then mamin hani money money. Mishnah is going to Rabbanan like Reb Meir, since it's mamin gavoa, you will not be able to use it. So when it says not ksheras, only according to Chachanim, according to Mandiyama, that you need both heterachila and money and money. But the Mandiyama is only heterachila. Everyone would say you could go ahead and use the Ma'aser Sheni Yerushalayim. Also chazis. Now let's say that it has a chazis that has some type of growth on it. Rab said Hamakim yeh be'ezrei, saying gesund and stark. Lo shanu el b'makom echad. Only if the chaz is only in one spot. If it's 2 or 3 spots, kosher. So Amar Rav Amar Adarabba. The Shnayim or Shlosh Mekoymes Havalik Menumer. If it's in 2 or 3 spots, it's like Menumer. It's like what? It's like a leopard. Guys, we had to buy the berries, but that's the same thing. Mamish the same dialogue. Upasul. Aliyat Mar Asefit. If you want to learn the memra of Rav, it's on the following. Al miutoy kosher. We said on Ruboy chazis is puzzle. Al miutoy, if the chazis is only on a minority part of the esrog, it is kosher. Amrav Kista Davazer Rabbeinu Gadol Omru B'Hamakim Yabezrei Lo Shonu that it's kosher el b'Hamakim Echad. Al V'Shnayim Shloshim Mekomis Havilek Menumeru puzzle. Even if it's in the minority of the esrog, if it's in 2 or 3 places, it's going to be puzzle. Amarava Vel Chayt Moi Vafil B'Mashu Nami puzzle. The Chaytim, this is a big problem. On the Chaytim, right, guys? Page 127. Above that, where the chaytim begins to go ahead wide and get taper out, and it begins to taper out. At that point in time, you have a problem. If you have, that's where the people, the bletta on the top of the esrog, where on the bottom that's not, yeah. So the Rambam is what you would think, guys. Look at the Rambam, bottom right. Bottom right. You would think that's the chaytim, right? That's not according to look at Rashi. We're chayish for Rashi, you see. Okay, let me at least tell you stuff. Fascinating halacha. Fascinating halacha. Taf Reish Nun Aleph is speaking about the Nanuyim. Taf Reish Nun Aleph Sif Yud Aleph. Sarch lechaber esrig lalulav b'shasni nua. When you go ahead and you do the ninuim, you mechaber the esrig together with the lulav. We said earlier you don't have to tie it together, but you mechaber it together. Ulanea b'shneim yachan, and do it together. B'chol ninuim einam akvin ube'ezer derech shinina yotze b'diavad. So I put out, if you have your phone, I put out on your phone. I sent out something. I'll give it to you, Baruch. Okay, this is from the Shir Mitzvah Halacha. This is a really nice piece. Okay, you can see this, I hope. Yes. That's not good. That's better. That's better. That's better. Yeah. Good. Okay, Lifnei Shemach Shira, Pirsh Rashi, Lekabel Tuma. As we saw in Rashi, that the reason why you should not use Truma is because by getting wet, it's going to be Kabel Tuma. Daminu Masnisin Lekamon, the Kabel Sishim Miyad Beno, Miyad Bailu Maxiras Lemayim B'Shabbos, Sheyishoyim Aguda B'Shabbos, Kedei Shlo Yev Yevshu, it shouldn't dry out. Ukshenagot Noigim Be'esrig, Huch Shel Tuma. V'yasa Ligrum Tuma L'Truma. That's Lashon Rashi. Because of a Beis Yosef or a Chaim Simon Tafresh and Aleph, Bezeh Lashon. Kosav Marino Marang. That this is the Recanti, guys. The Recanti was an Italian gadol. He lived in the 13th century. He was a Rishon. Sarach Lismecha Esrigim Sharaminim. You have to put the esrig next to Sharminim. Where is us? You have to put the esrig next to the Sharminim. V'soid zeh nigla elai b'chaloim. This side was revealed to Rekanti in a dream. Bolel Yontif Echad Shalchag his Asin Etzli Chassid Echad Ashkenazi. It's Marvenu Yitzchak. When I went to this Chassid came to me. Reisi b'chaloim sheyekoisiv Hashem. He, this Rabbi Yitzchak, was writing the shame, and he wrote 3 letters: Yud, Hey, Vav. V'haya Markik, and he was distancing Hey. He distanced the Hey. Achrayna, Gimel Oisis Harishayna. So he wrote Yud Kei Vav, and the 3, and he put the other one second, he put it far away. Amarti Loi, Masisa, what are you doing? It's still in a dream. Rekanti is saying this Rav Yitzchak in a dream. What are you doing? The Heishiv, Kach Noigim B'Kamenu. That's our minig. V'ani Machisi boy, I erased it because Safti Oisai Shalom, and I wrote it. I read Kei Vav Kei together. Ulamacha be'es netilas lulav reisi shleihoya min aneya rak halulav mina v'loya esrig. I saw that Rabbi Yitzchak, what was he doing? He was only shaking the lulav. He wasn't shaking the esrig. Ve'avanti pisrein chaloimi. And I understood the explanation of my dream. The Chazal Ramzu Soidze, the Medrash Parshas Vayikra, Ayin Sham. So Ayin B'Shulchan Aruch, we very hative. Guys, Shulchan Aruch, listen to this. Sarach L'chaber Esrog Alula B'Shasni Nua. Where's the source? So Harav Rav Nachum Mirakanti B'Parshas Echad. Rav Nachum Mirakanti. This is the source. His dream. His dream is the source that you have to put it together. Now it continues. Now, listen to this. Umi Gemara v'Rashi dahacha nira hamikar. Our Gemara is the makar sheyeshlin gaya ha'esrogim imagudas alulav, that the esrog should touch the agudas alulav. V'chein ha'yanoigim. Guys, how is the esrog getting wet? You put the lulav in the water to keep it dry, right? To keep it moist. What did you do then? You took it out and you put it. So l'chayri, this is a source for the Rekanti's dream, putting it together. That machshos. Say is Geshma. I don't know, but this is the source. It's fascinating. You never know, like a psak halacha from a dream.